Welcome to the preview of the Social Media Field Guide. As many of you would be aware, we've already done a preview of the work that we do at the masterclass around strategy, governance and barriers. You can find this information at our blog, The State of Change, and also on our Facebook page. This screencast is to give you a preview of the actual field guide itself. We've had a bit of response from the preview that they got around the other content, and people are really interested to have a bit of a sneak look at the field guide. So to give you this insight, we're going to take a bit of content out of the field guide itself and give you an opportunity to have a look at it. So basically it's a very comprehensive piece of work. It's a spreadsheet that covers the what, the why, the how, the who, all sorts of things. So if we look at each of these things, it will be telling us, so what is this social media thing? And so we'll be looking at things like public microblogging, for example, private network for organisations. So it's how do organisations do things within the firewall potentially. We have professional networking here, public image sharing, and you'll notice that there's some examples here. We have an extensive range of examples that we actually work through in the masterclass. A blog, a wiki, so just some examples. There's a lot more to be covered in the forum. Which sort of forum you're looking at? Instant messaging, so the sort of things that people can do around chatting. Listening services, if an organisation wants to listen, what sort of tools are there available? Public video sharing, online communities, community forums around events, broadcasting video to the public or a select group of people, public sharing documents, presentations online, publicly organising and storing bookmarks, questions and answer sites, letting other people know where you are, so locations and virtual worlds. So there's a lot of content in these around the sorts of things that are available to organisations today, and we're able to talk to them about most of those tools. If we move back, then we take the context of those social media tools and opportunities out there, and we start to explore it in a bit more detail about, you've seen that we have examples, and depending on which the tools are, there's lots of examples to cover. Then we look at what can businesses actually do with these. So how could, what benefit would it be? What are the recommendations for using these particular tools? What are they not recommended for? Because sometimes people use these tools completely inappropriately. What are the potential benefits to the business? When we look at setting these things up, what are the actual costs? What do we need to consider? So we look at what are the things that we need to consider, what sort of resources are actually going to be needed, and so what does that mean cost-wise to the business? Because just because it's open source and free doesn't mean that it isn't going to cost. Roles and responsibilities. So this one is critical. Who is the driver of these particular type of tools? What does the driver do? Who supports the driver? What does the support person do? But more importantly, what does the support person not do? We look at governance, what sort of governance you might need in that particular thing. How do we develop and maintain and sustain? So when we're talking about growing communities and networks, we're talking about social interaction, we're talking about nurturing, we're talking about treating it like a garden versus a system, an IT system. So it's really important that you stimulate that community appropriately to get a response in the longer term. So we talk about and work with the people in the masterclass around what sort of things do I have to do, how often do they need to be done. If I'm going to develop and sustain engagement, then what sort of things do I need to do. The resources I will need will be what? When will I start to see success? And of course the old chestnut of measurement. So if you're wanting to know more about the masterclass, please join us at the blog, have a look, see what you can find. As I mentioned earlier, we do have a SlideShare presentation that is linked to it, which will give you a bit of an insight around the bigger picture stuff that is covered before we go anywhere near the tools. And of course, we have a testimonials page, so that will give you a bit of an opportunity about what people are saying about the Social Media Field Guide Masterclass. It's been a really good response. I've got a workshop coming up in Singapore in a few weeks, and we've had a great response there. There's some other workshops coming up within Australia, and if you want to know about those, then please go to our Facebook page. It will give you the information that you need to find out where those ones are. So I look forward to seeing you at some of these workshops. Like us on our Facebook page, and good luck with your social media.